how much you actually need to make here to survive. So our monthly grocery range for two people is, I don't know who can afford this nowadays. We are paying much more than if we would take a new apartment. In the city center, these prices are simply non-existent. And then we get our approximate total. You might have heard that Milan is pretty expensive city and cost of living here is the highest in Italy. But what does it really mean? And who can actually afford to live here and how expensive it is? So in this video, I'm going to do a detailed monthly budget breakdown for living in Milan in 2026. And also in the end of this video, we will try to understand how much you actually need to make here to survive, not to live a billionaire's life, but to feel pretty good living here, let's say. So stay tuned until the end of this video. And first, let me introduce myself also for you to understand better my context, because cost of living is very relative depending on the person, of course. So ciao, I'm Vlada. I am 35 years old and I moved to Milan 7 years ago for studying, and now I live and work here. I am self-employed and me and my husband, we live in the city center of Milan. Actually, we are currently in the process of purchasing our own apartment in Milan, but for now we are still renting. But these weeks we are starting our moving process and I am actually documenting this journey. Also, I do a lot of videos about life in Milan and in Italy in general. So if you're interested in this topic, please subscribe to my channel. And let's start from my biggest expense, which is, of course, rent. As I said, we are renting an apartment in the city center. We are living in Brera. And our apartment is a one-bedroom, 40 square meters. And our rent is 1,100 euro. But I have to say that we found this apartment in the middle of pandemic. And we have a local 4+4 contract. And that's why the price almost didn't grow for us. And realistically, nowadays, in the city center, these prices are simply non-existent. But let's take a look at the current prices. So for central locations in Milan, we can take studios and one bedrooms. They mostly range from 1,200 up to 1,700 euro per month. And not so central areas like Bicocca, Lambrate, Cutiotto, you can see 800 to 1,100 euro for similar sizes. So of course you can save a bit on rent if you choose not so central neighborhoods. There are a lot of perks, of course, of living in the city center and you don't need to do the long commutes. But Milan is not that big city, so I think even living outside of Milan a little bit, it's not that dramatic. Honestly, especially if you're a foreigner like us, it's really almost impossible to buy an apartment in the city center of Milan because the prices here are crazy and I don't know who can afford this nowadays, but yeah. I think the suburbs is the most popular solution for people who are looking at buying an apartment here in Milan. And let's pass to the bills. Here's our average. Usually it fluctuates a lot by season. So first, our gas bill is 27 euro per month, average over past 6 months. And obviously it gets higher in winter because we are having here central heating. For electricity, we're paying about 50 euro per month. But again, in summer, because we're using air conditioner a lot, the prices can double. And besides that, electricity bills depend a lot on energy efficiency of your building. So for instance, here we are living in an old building and our energy efficiency is not good. So we are paying much more than if we would take a new apartment in a new building. Then there is also the waste tax that we usually pay once per year. But if you count per month, it's about 12 euro and it depends on the size of your apartment. Then our home internet plan includes also some subscriptions to streaming services. We are paying 30 euro per month and it includes Netflix, Prime, Disney, DAZN and Team Vision, which is really not bad considering how much you would pay for each one separately. And phone plans in Italy could be one of the cheapest ones in the European Union, actually. And for example, I pay €8 per month for unlimited data and unlimited minutes. And on average, you can get plans from €6 per month to like €13. And it all really depends on switching the providers and finding better offers from the competitors. I actually made a whole video on saving money in Milan. I will leave it somewhere here and you can check it after watching this video, because there I go in detail about how I got my phone bill decreased from €13 per month to €8. And yeah, it's just another way to save money in this expensive city. And of course, let's talk about public transport. It's really good in Milan and it's quite affordable comparing to other big capitals in Europe. A single ticket of 90 minutes would cost you €2.20 and you can use any public transportation in this time period. Then of course, there is also a monthly pass that is €39 per month. And if you're not using public transport every day, maybe it makes sense for you to use a 10 trips ticket, which is a good deal because you pay only for 9 tickets in reality instead of 10, so it costs €19.80. Another way to move around Milan is bicycle. There are various bike sharing companies here. The one that I use is called Bike Me, and they have a daily pass of €4.50. Then they also have a weekly pass for €9 and an annual one that is really cheap. I think it's €36 for 365 days. And then a big chunk of my income usually goes to food, and it depends a lot on your habits, if you like to eat out or if you like to cook at home. So I will give you first my eating out budget that is around €150 to €250 per month, and it includes also takeaways. And here are some typical prices for food in Milan. For example, pizza margherita usually costs around €8. You can get a pasta dish around €9 to €12. And then you can also get an aperitivo, that is when you are paying for a drink and get a small tray of snacks, and it would be around €12. There is also a thing that is called apericena, that is very Milanese, and it's when you are paying for a drink, but you get an access for a free open buffet, and it usually costs from €13 to €16, depends on the place. Then coffee, well, cappuccino, let's say, usually costs from €1.20 to €1.50. And then a brioche, that is basically a croissant, a typical Italian breakfast, is about €2 to €3. And prices for a glass of wine start from €3.50. Of course, you can spend less or more depending on the place you're going, but I was just saying on average for like regular medium price places, not too cheap, not too expensive. And when it comes to sports and entertainment, the usual gym membership would cost you around €30 to €60 per month, depending on the gym and its location. Then the regular cinema ticket is about €10. Then museums and exhibitions could usually cost €10 to €15 per ticket, although there are a lot of free activities in Milan as well, which I also mentioned in my Saving Money in Milan video. And honestly, that's why I love Milan, because it's full of life and a lot of cultural events are happening here, and you can find always an event that is going to be suitable for your budget. And another significant expense that I didn't mention yet is groceries. And it can vary a lot depending on the supermarket where you are buying groceries, because there are, of course, very expensive ones, medium and cheaper ones. For example, Aldi, Lidl and Penny Market are the cheapest ones here in Milan. And I'm usually buying my groceries in Carrefour or Esselunga, which is, I would say, a medium segment. Also, I'm trying to always select products that are on discount. And another thing is trying to buy always seasonal, and like this you can save a lot of money. So our monthly grocery range for 2 people is around 400 to 500 a month. Consider that we really like to cook a lot. And I have some current prices saved here for common products, so you can have a better picture. So 1 liter of milk is around €1.50 and 1 kilogram of potatoes is €2.25. Fresh white bread could be around €2.50. A pack of 10 eggs is around €3.50, and 1 kilogram of tomatoes is around €3.50, and 1 kilogram of chicken fillets is around €12. So that's how much you can spend on groceries. of course, always depending on where you're buying them. I was also thinking that it doesn't make much sense to count other spendings like shopping that could really vary a lot depending on the person. But now let's pass on the most interesting part of this video that I'm very curious about also myself. And let's try to understand how much you need to make here to actually afford living in this city. So I did a little table here. Let's say we are taking rent in one bedroom in a good neighborhood in Milan, which would be like 1,200 euro per month, more or less. Then let's add utilities and internet, which will be 120 to 180 per month. A phone plan that is 6 to 13 euro per month, transport card, 39 euro groceries, 200 to 300 eating out, 150 to 250 entertainment, let's say 40 to 80. And then we get our approximate total that is not including shopping or some medical visits that maybe are not covered by your insurance. We are not including neither savings here. And what we get here as the minimum salary you need to have to be able to afford all that I mentioned here in Milan is 1,750 to 2,300 euro per month net. And this number, I think it's very realistic. And of course, you can cut on something. For example, you can save on rent if you are going to share a flat with someone. Also, it really depends if you are living alone or in a couple. And also, you could cut some money on choosing living in the suburbs of Milan and not inside of the city. But in general, I think it's pretty real, this number. And also an average salary of Milan, I think now it's a little bit over 2,000 euro per month. So you can see that there is not much option to save money in this city if you are receiving a regular salary. So yeah, I think we can say that living in Milan is actually expensive, and it depends a lot on your lifestyle and location. But also Milan can be affordable if you budget smart. But it's definitely not cheap if you come here to expect a low cost of living. Maybe some smaller towns in Italy could be a better choice for you. Also, I'm very curious, where are you from and how is the cost of living in your city in comparison with Milan? Please share it in the comments. And I hope this video was helpful and insightful for you. If so, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And most probably my next video is gonna be a vlog from my moving, because we are getting closer and closer to the date of receiving the keys from the apartment. So stay tuned and see you in my next one. Ciao!